Good evening. I am Letitia Cunningham. Um, I am motivational speaker, life coach, and it's emotional life coach. Getting people through the struggles that they've dealt with or are dealing with. I haven't been here in a while. If you're not familiar with me, I kind of flow with transparent. Um, and before the last time I was here was January 5th, and was working on Women of the Bible. And today I'm not going to flow back into that. I'm going to speak of something different. January is normally a tough month for me. And so I transitioned myself. My goal for this January was not to carry that as a tough month. So I had to imply my rules on myself, which I normally do. But this time I had to do it more intentionally, if that makes sense. So I focused on myself. Um, I did a lot of busy stuff to keep myself busy, intentionally meeting with people, going out, not out clubbing, but out to social events and whatnot, not letting my past dictate my future or not letting my past consuming a whole month because January didn't do anything to me. So one of my best friends who was murdered, birthday was in January. Um, in January, I was hit by a car on purpose. And then in January, I was assaulted. So January is normally a month for me where I shut down. So this January, I'm going into January, I said, I am not owning that this year in the things that I tell other people, and I know I need to apply to myself and I need to take care of me. And so I often say that selfish, people always say, oh, somebody's selfish, this person's selfish. Well, it's not always selfish, sometimes it's self care. Um, in order to be there or show up for someone else, something else, you have to show up for yourself. You have to take care of yourself. And most of us know this. You know, you have to take care of yourself. And we cannot allow what somebody from the outside looking in to label you or burden you with their weight. You can't take that on. So being mindful of where you are, what you can and cannot take, is very important. Um, so we need to pay attention to signs. We need to pay attention to things that we know will distract us, things that we know will burden us, things that we know is not ours to carry. We need to pay attention to those things. So I often will read. I'm a reader. I will read books, and so tonight I'm going to share two books that I've read before, but I read one in January, and I'm reading the other one now, because you can always pick. I don't care how many times you read a book, you can always pick up something from that book. So on top of all of that, I was in a relationship where my partner, my whatever we want to call him, lost a child in a tragic um, accident. And until I went through it, I never understood why couples break up because of losing a child. And so, needless to say, our relationship didn't last. And I had to accept that also in January. So January was like one hit after the next. And so what I continue to do is when those thoughts of negativity flow in, I always say, interrupt the negative with a positive. I don't care if it's a positive memory. I don't care if it's a positive song. but interrupt the negative with a positive, whether it's to keep yourself busy, but something busy positive is what we have to do in order to make it through. Some things we just cannot change. They just are what they are, and people have to work those out on their own. Um, so all of that was my January. So I'm sharing this because we all go through, you might have a relationship that you have to deal with or are dealing with. You might have a bad memory in a month, and then that time comes up for you. Maybe it was a loss of someone close to you, a death or whatever, and then that month or that holiday, you've now let it be consumed by this one tragedy. And I get it, I understand. I'm not saying that to minimize your situation or the tragic thing that happened to you. What I'm saying is, one, that person wouldn't want you to live that way. Um, and if it wasn't a death, the other would be, are you going to allow that tragedy to control you in that month or that holiday? So every time that event comes around, you're going to harbor on and hold on to those negatives instead of living life to the fullest, to your fullest capability, and keep going. So I know, particularly me, I don't want anything to control me. Yes, I lost a great friend in January, a friend that I've known since I was 7 years old, and not lost her in January, but her birthday was in January, and I can't see her anymore. And her personality was huge, and she was beautiful. Um, and then, yes, I was hit by a car in January, but I'm still here and I'm breathing and I'm able and I'm capable and I can move. And yes, I was assaulted in January, but I didn't die. So look at the positive in those events and not the negative, and you have to keep going, including myself. For years, I would think, okay, it's coming, and I would start closing in. And this year I didn't intentionally, I didn't do that. Yes, I haven't been here, but that was self-care. It was not selfish, it was self-care. I had to work through this first one, this first round, for myself and get over that hump, that barrier that held me there. So things that I read, one, and they're both by the same author, is this book. It's Not Supposed to Be This Way by Lisa Turkis. And you can see it's upside down, and she did that intentionally. So if you hold the book right side up, upside down, the girl is right side up. But if you hold it the right way, the girl is upside down. It's by Lisa Turkis, and it's not supposed to be this way. So for me, one, it's not supposed to be this way. It's all the stuff that happened in January. It's not supposed to be this way. Um, Losing the relationship the way that I did, because there was nothing between us. There was no abuse. There was no cheating. There was no arguing. There was none of that. Great friendship, like my best friend, hands down. And so that was difficult to let go, because we didn't hurt each other. Um, and his words to me were, verbatim, move on, mama, because I can't love you the way that you deserve to be loved, the way that I am right now. And so when I first heard those words, it was like, move, like what? Move on. No, I'm not going to leave you because you're going through this. And eventually it just got, he was just more closed off and more closed off and more closed off. In my mind, it's like, I don't understand. I'm here for you. Let me help you. Um, and in his mind, I don't want to pour this negative energy. I don't want to drain her. All of that. So it was just slowly further and further apart, less communication, less hanging out, less dating, any of that. And so that led me back to this book. It's not supposed to be this way, because when you have a relationship, and it just doesn't have to be this type, but when you have a relationship, it could be a girlfriend and nothing happens, but something pulls you apart. You can't fathom, your mind doesn't wrap around why is this happening this way? It's not supposed to be this way. Um, but God set up everything. So if it's happening, it's absolutely supposed to be this way. The thing that we have to figure out and carry and understand is it's not about me. I didn't do anything. Um, and how do I move on? What do I do for me to move on? That's what we all have to figure out. We have to stop carrying the weight of trying to see what we did wrong, because there was nothing wrong. We didn't do anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. It just happened. And this is a plan that God, Yahweh, the higher power, the universe already had for me. And so we can look at things in life as a lesson, as a stepping stone, and we can keep going. Or we can look at the negative, oh, woe is me. Why am I now closer to 50 than 40? I'm getting ready to be single again. And the dating game, as we all know, is absolutely crazy. So I can look at all that bad side, or I can focus on the good side, knowing how I should be treated, knowing what I will and will not accept in relationships going forward, because this one was so great. Not to say that I would always be comparing, but I know some things happen sometimes to teach us lessons. And so something might happen to you where you've been taught this lesson and now you know what you absolutely, undoubtedly will and will not accept, period. So we have to always take the lesson out of something. Does it hurt? Absolutely. Do we like it? No, we don't. But there's a lesson in everything that we do and go through. So our job is here on earth is to understand the lesson and move on forward from it. So you can, as long as you don't understand your lesson, you'll continue to bump your head, right? You'll continue to go through every time. Like if you look at your life, if you look back over your life in different situations, and I'm talking of relationships, but I'm not just speaking in terms of man-woman relationship. Like I said, friend, sibling, aunties, uncles, co-workers, supervisors, managers. So when we learn how to communicate in any relationship, then we can get better in that area of that relationship. So you can continue to bump your head, because if you don't learn how to communicate over here, you're not going to know how to communicate over here, and you're not going to know how to communicate over there. And so your communication is broken. And then it becomes the finger pointing. Well, if this person wouldn't have done this and blah, blah, blah. But what about your part in it? Because everything is it's a two-way street. It's not just what somebody else did. We have to take ownership and accountability for our part in it. And do we hear? Like, do you really have your listening ears on? Because somebody can say something to you and automatically you tune them out because of their tone. So the bigger person would know how to overlook their tone, understand what they're saying, and a big deal is repeating back. So if somebody says something to you don't like, this is what you do. You mirror. So what I heard you say is this. And then that gives them an opportunity to correct it or clear up what they were trying to say. Because a lot of people don't know how to communicate and they don't know how to listen. And so that's where a lot of brokenness come in conversations, and people shut down or block somebody off from their lives when honestly the communication wasn't there. So when you hear somebody say something that you don't like or you disagree with or you just really don't understand, you repeat it back. So what I heard you say is this. Is that right? And they can say, you know what? Yes, that's what I said, but I didn't mean it to offend you, or I didn't mean it this way. Or they can say, no, that's not what I meant, and they can say it what they meant to say. So that's another thing that we have to do. We have to be able to give clear communication and not just jump to assumptions. Even though we're both here in this conversation, we can still jump to assumptions by not understanding what somebody means and not giving them the opportunity to clear it up. Then we go into text or inbox or DM and all that other stuff. Social media just kills it and give it a whole nother meaning because we got caps, which means I'm yelling at you. Yes, I'm yelling at you. And then I don't know what your tone is in a text. I don't know what your tone is in my inbox or my DM. And so you have people losing relationships that way. And so I can be texting with a girlfriend or business partner or my mother or my sister or whoever. And sometimes I'll say, you know what, call me. Call me because I don't understand what you're saying and I need to hear you so we can be clear. And it was a few years ago that I had a conversation with my older sister. I'm the youngest of four, two girls and a boy. So me and my middle sister were having a conversation, and it was via text. And we had never had this issue, so it was surprising. It was via text, and then all of a sudden I was blocked, and so I couldn't communicate with her. And so her daughter reached out and said, "Hey, Auntie, what's going on?" Blah blah. And so we had a conversation, her daughter and I. She said, "Well, I'm gonna bring my mother over," and I said, "Okay." So when my sister came, the one thing I said to her, because this is very real, um, I thought our relationship was important enough to have the conversation, and you blocked me. That is a very real statement. Because if your relationship isn't important enough with somebody, then you can shut them out. But if that relationship is important enough, then you have the conversation. As difficult as it may be, you have the conversation. And sometimes you have to point out to people that this relationship is important enough to me that I am willing to have the difficult conversation. And then sometimes you may need to take a break, time away, time apart, time to breathe, to woosah, to get your loins together. And then you can come back and say, you know what? Okay, this is what it is for me. This is my bottom line. This is what I will accept. This is what I will not accept. I love you, but these are my terms that I have to keep for me in order for me to go on and be happy with our relationship and where we stand. And they can either accept it or not, but you have laid out what you can and cannot do in order for your peace, comfort, and happiness. Because I'll tell you what, nobody is going to give you your peace, your comfort, or happiness. It all comes from you, and we all teach people how to treat us. And so when you accept things from people over and over and over again, they say, she's okay with this. And on the inside, you're really burning up, or you're really sad, or you really have some kind of feeling behind it because you really don't like it, but you haven't opened your mouth, or you have, but you haven't put your foot down. So you say, I don't like that, but you keep going back. So when you set that boundary, you have to be able to stand on it and say, I'm done. This is what I will not deal with. So you lay it out. You give them this is what I will do. This is what I won't do. And we can keep going or we cannot. And if they say, okay, you know what, I understand that. I apologize. Let's keep going. I understand what you need from me now. And this is what I need from you. And then when they give you their needs, you have to again decide if this is something that you can do. Because if it's not something that you can do, then you can chunk the deuces and you can walk away. But then you have to, in turn, if it's something that you agree to, you have to treat that person where they are with their needs. And so that's it. It's that simple. In communication, open communication, in deciding on what you can and cannot deal with, or where you will and will not be in life in general. So the book is not supposed to be this way. Will carry, again, I've read it before. I just read it again because there's different things. For one, I have my corporate America job, and there's been a lot of changes in the last year. And so in that position, I have to answer to some people. I have a supervisor, I have a manager, and so I have to answer to those people. And I feel like And this is another whole issue, feelings. So I feel like it's not supposed to be this way. I have put in not only my time here, 15 years, but I've also been dedicated, loyal, never on any corrective action, and I feel like I'm being taken backwards instead of going forward with all the changes that have been made. It's not supposed to be this way. Um, so in that environment, I have to decide on if I care enough to have these conversations, or do I just go in and do my task and check out at the end of the day. So what I've decided for me personally, um, I'm going to go in and do my task and check out at the end of the day. And that's perfectly fine because I'm not looking for growth here. Um, I am looking to do what I have to do, of course, because I still have needs to be met at home, and I'm not where I need to be in my entrepreneur life. So, of course, I'm going to go in, I'm going to do my job, and I'm going to go home. But I'm not going to carry the weight and the tension of trying to make the work environment, the atmosphere, the process, the trainings. I'm not going to go into trying to make that a better place because, one, I don't get paid for it. Two, it's been shown that it doesn't really mean anything um, when you go the extra mile, per se. So again, it's not supposed to be this way, but I'm there. And obviously, again, there's a lesson in it for me that the higher power, the universe, God has. Um, and obviously, I haven't learned that yet, or haven't. I'm learning it. I'm in the process, and slowly but surely, things on the other side for me personally are changing. Not there, and it's not going to there, but I had to see for myself that, oh, this is where this is going to be. I'm pouring energy into an empty drain. So if you have a drain that's not clogged and you're pouring and you see the water going and going and going, and it never stops, that was me in my work environment. I'm pouring and pouring, and I'm trying to get them to see the view of how it can be, and every time it was shut down. I was pouring into an empty drain. So then I had to back up and say, you know what? This is not your position. This is not what you get paid to do. This is not where your energy should be poured. You have a multitude of women who you love, who love you back, who you love to help. Like, that's where my heart is at. So God said, stop. Stop putting your heart into something that I didn't give you to do. He gave me a heart for women. And so I cater to, love to help build up, uplift, motivate, and encourage women who want to do the work on themselves. Because I can pour into you, and it can be the same. I can pour into you all day, every day. But if you're not receptive of the information, or if you're not at a point to do the work, then I'm pouring down an empty drain. So we're going to get to the next point because I'm going to be a little long, and I didn't plan on being here this long. So the other book, the one that I'm reading now, is Uninvited. Also Lisa Turkis. Like I said, I've read it before, and I am enjoying it again. And so it's Uninvited, living loved when you feel less than, left out, and lonely. That's huge because of my January. That's a huge one. So I did. It's not supposed to be this way first. And normally you would read Uninvited first, and then it's not supposed to be this way. But I did them on the reverse because I know what it's not supposed to be, or I know what I thought it wasn't supposed to be. But anything that is because it was supposed to be. But uninvited, we have feelings that are uninvited. I didn't invite this feeling here. I did not ask this feeling to be here. I didn't, things that people speak to you, and you you internalize those things and you carry those things all the time subconsciously, like you don't even know it. So, it could be somebody as simple as this: growing up where everything is not taken for granted, but we have elders that say, well, I grew up this way and that was much worse. And so you didn't go through anything. And so they would have the feeling that they didn't do anything wrong. One, I'll tell my elders this: parenting didn't come with a handbook, doesn't, didn't, haven't, will not. So we all make our mistakes. We love you all anyway, as I hope my children would love me and their children would love them anyway. What we also have the right to say is, I will not let you put that energy on my children because I'm trying to do something different. Uninvited. So we have those uninvited feelings. We have those uninvited things that were spoken over us, and then we carry them, we trigger them, and somehow we make everything about us. We're not loved. We're lonely. We are less than. And none of that can be further from the truth. When I say living loved, it gives you a clear term in the book. It's a great book. But then you have to take it and personalize it to yourself. So what's your living love? What are you is it from a person? Because that, then to me, that's not living love. You have to, one, love yourself. So for me, living love is, I'm an eater, I'm a foodie. I love to try different things, cuisines, Indian, African, Ethiopian, Japanese, Korean, American. I love food. So that's my living love. That's what I do. You have to treat yourself, and you have to know where you are, and you have to appreciate you for all of who you are, your flaws, the good things about you. Even your body makeup, you have to accept you for you. I posted on my Facebook, because I do have a Facebook, and so I went to a party Saturday, which was a day party. It was a yoga vision board party, and so we did the yoga, and everybody was relaxed, and they discussed their vision boards and the reason why they chose the words that they chose. And so afterwards, I came home and I listed foods that help with bloating, because I'm a woman who stays bloated. So that's something that I don't necessarily know if it bothered me, obviously, because I read up on it, I posted about it, and I discussed it. So obviously it bothered me enough where I wanted to make that change. I have to be disciplined enough to make that change. But that's living love for me, because I'm living in a space of love where I love myself enough to fix something for me, not for anybody else, for me, because it bothers me. It doesn't bother me because somebody said something about it. It doesn't bother me because I'm going somewhere to wear a swimsuit. It doesn't bother me for any other reason besides I don't like it. Me. So when to me, my internalized living loved, when you love yourself enough to shut out the outside world about your personal makeup, about the negatives that they spoke over you, about the weight that you carry from trying to help someone else. Living loved. Love yourself, because we cannot fix everybody. We cannot fix ourselves for somebody else, because that doesn't last. We, as women, are automatic nurturers, care. We want to help. We want to fix. But this is the problem. You begin to carry somebody else's burden who's not even carrying it themselves. You care so much that you want to help your girlfriend, your children, your uncle, your nephew. You want to help everybody under the sun, but they don't even see that they have a problem. So now you're carrying this weight, and your shoulders have tension, and your back hurt, and your head hurt, and you have a look on your face that people see, and you think you look okay. You think you're fine, but you're not. So all of that is not yours to carry. You can advise somebody, you can give them directions to the tools that they need, and if they do not access them, you've done your part. I've provided you with the information. So you've done your part. There's nothing more to be done. There's nothing more to be said. Listen, I'm a mother of 5, 4 boys, 1 girl, and down to my 15-year-old. I will not carry his weight because I know that I've raised him right. I taught him well, and it's up to him. Again, I can give him the information. He knows right from wrong. I will give you the tools. I will give you the information, and it's up to you to access it. You can pretend like you don't know. You want to put your blinders on and you didn't see it or you didn't hear it. You shut it out. But if you know good and well you delivered that information to somebody and they chose not to access it, that doesn't fall on you. You don't get to carry that. And another thing I will tell you that I tell my children, I tell myself, I tell my friends, don't allow people to pour everything into you. Sometimes you have to shut it down because yes, you're going through, I understand. And girl, to you right now, that is the end of the world. And in the back of your head, you're saying, huh, now she knows me, so she know I've been through blah, 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 and blah this week. But this is her call to me to pour this energy on me while she already knows that I have this, and this. And so what I say to that is, okay, so that's your situation, whatever situation may be. That's your situation. You know what it is. So here are your options, and I'll give them 3. Or I'll ask a question. What are you going to do about that? Or what do you think is the best resolve for that? Because then it gets them thinking, and they'll think about how to solve their own problem, and it stops you from trying to fix their issue. And then the next time they'll start thinking, what's my resolve for this before I even call Keisha? How do I fix this? And they start thinking for themselves, and they're not pouring their negative energy into you, because you have some friends, family members, co-workers, whoever, that looks for the pity party and will pour all of their stuff on you as long as you allow them to. It's also come to a point where I shut my phone off at a certain time. If I go out of my office and go to my bedroom, computer, telephone, tablet, whatever, shut down. So the only people that can get in touch with me are people that have my house phone, and they know that that's only for emergencies. And I've only recently given my phone number out that I have had for 15, 16 years. I gave it to my children. They didn't even have it. So I gave it to my children. I gave it to my mother, and I gave it to my 2 sisters. Only people that have my house phone number. Because people will invade your privacy. If you, and not even if you have a business, if you are that person that people vent to, they don't care about your rest. It's not, okay, well, it's 10 o'clock, it's 9 o'clock. This person might be asleep. This person might be doing family time. This person might be eating dinner. They will invade your privacy. So you have to protect yourself. Like the telephone, since cell phones came out and all this social media stuff, give people a sense of, I don't want to say, it gives people a sense of, well, I'm up, they must be up, or because the green light is on the Facebook, they're on Facebook. Some people just don't ever log out, like me. I just don't ever log out, so people just assume, well, she must be on there. She's gonna see my message. Um, but people will invade your space, and so you have to learn how to limit that. And I remember when I was coming up, automatically you don't call anybody's house before a certain time, and you don't call after a certain time. You don't go to anybody's house before 10. You don't go over after a certain time. So that's just the common rules to me that people should respect. And that's just my take on it. Um, I think it's very rude and um, selfish to say, well, I'm going through this, so I'm gonna call my girl Nikki. Yeah, it's 10:30, and I know she got a husband and some children, and she got to get up and go to work in the morning. But let me call her because right now my feelings are hurt. And it's really not nothing that drastic, but social media has given people so much access to you and so much view of what's going on in your life that they think everything is dramatic. Everything is like a big deal. Um, and it's not. It's really not. Maybe if you go to sleep and you sleep on it, you might feel okay in the morning. And we also, again, have to teach people how to treat us. So if you don't like getting those phone calls in the middle of the night and somebody does, and there's a reason why you cannot turn your phone off, you can say, hey, you know what? I don't take these calls this hour of the night. I'll talk to you in the morning. Hopefully everything is all right. If it's really a bad situation, before you can get all of that out, they're going to be interrupted and said, hey, whatever the situation may really be, and then you can go from there. But we have to teach people how to treat us. Uninvited. Uninvited, you didn't get invited into my space. I didn't invite these ideas. I didn't invite your negative comments. All of that, uninvited. So, we go through things as parents with our children, and a lot of that stuff is uninvited. Because even though parenting doesn't come with a handbook, I can almost guarantee most of us, if not all of us, did not tell our children, hey, go out there and be a little jerk in public. Yeah, because that represents me. That's what that is. So there's a lot when that word uninvited comes, think of it. Think of all the uninvited stuff in your life. And then think of and write down an action plan. This was uninvited. This is my resolve. This is what I'm going to focus on to get rid of it. This is my uninvited. This is my resolve. And this is the action plan I'm going to do to get rid of it. So those action plans may be when that negative thought comes in that was poured on me or put on me. I'm going to have this quote to say that I am worthy. Or maybe that resolve might be, I know that I've taught my children well. I've given them all the tools. So when they call me for this thing, I'm going to have a question for them instead of a fix for them, because every time you deliver a fix off the bat, they never want to call you and say, hey, mom, this is going on. And you say, well, what are you going to do about it? They're going to always expect you to fix it. So that can be that resolve. There's a resolve for everything. And it's just a matter of writing it down, put it in your action plan. Write down your uninvited. And you might focus on one at a time. You might focus on this week, the uninvited feeling. And it's okay. And then the next week, you might focus on the uninvited words that were spoken over you as a child, the one that carries and hits you the most, that you always reflect back to, that maybe you might not be good enough, or maybe you weren't loved, or maybe you were abused. Whatever it may be, you might write that down and then go back to your resolve. And this is the action plan that I'm going to do to get rid of it. So that's the homework for this week. You don't have to get the book. You don't have to read the book. It's a great book. And I'm going to do another book next week. I'm going to say next week. Yeah, I should be done. I'm going to do another book next week. But that's your homework. Figure out your uninvited. Think of your resolve. How are you going to tackle it? What are you going to do to get to your best self? What are you going to do to give yourself your best self? Because when you give you your best self, then you can deliver your best self to your children, to your job, to your mate, to whoever else you want to see fit to give it to. That's what you get to do. It's amazing when we look at and figure out our best selves. So me tackling January was a huge Y'all don't even understand. It was a huge deal for me. It was a breakthrough. It was a, I'm going to keep going. I'm not calling into work. I'm not going to not show up for my business. I'm not going to not cook. I'm not going to go to the social events that I was invited to. I'm not going to let this month be that. So next January, I can show up even bigger and stronger. So we always have to work on ourselves first before we can help anybody else. So I haven't been here because I didn't want to pour anything negative into the universe to you all, whoever's watching, whoever would be hearing my voice. I didn't want to pour that out there. I had to self heal. It's always about self healing first. So if you follow me, you know that I have been doing an I am challenge. I am 21-day challenge. I am whatever your I am is. So, follow me on Facebook, Keisha Speaks, KISHASPEAKS, and tell me what your I am is. You don't have to friend me. You can inbox me, and you do your I am for 21 days, because it's been shown that 21 days is something that at first is just, this is what I'm doing, and then it becomes habit, and then it becomes a part of you because you consistently done it for 21 days, and so you will continue to do it. So my I am at this point is, I am a multi homeowner, and that is not something internal, something external. But my external is also internal, because my background says that I'm not even supposed to be where I am. My background says it's not supposed to be this way. So that's an internal for me. My external is also an internal. So get your I ams together. I am blessed. I am worthy. I am beautiful. I am lovable. All of those beautiful words, and start working on yourself and what you desire to be. Nobody else can tell you who you are better than you. Get your uninvited, get your resolves, get your tackle action plan, and do it for 21 days. And come out on the other side a better you, and show up for the other people that you want to show up for, and put boundaries in relationships where they need to be, and teach people how to treat you. Tell them what you will and will not expect, and stand on it. So I am, again, Keisha Cunningham, motivational speaker, life coach, and I am going to be out for tonight. I hope everybody enjoyed, got something from this that's going to feed their soul, and I will see you again in a couple days.